chairman of Platform Petroleum Nigeria, Lulu-Briggs, has asked the Nigerian government to include marginal oil industry players in deals involving the sale of local assets by international oil companies. Speaking at the end of the Invest in Nigeria Energies Roundtable at the recent Africa Energy Week in Cape Town, South Africa, Lulu-Briggs says indigenous oil firms are central to the development of the local energy industry. Let's take a look.
Conference brings to you what are the key takeaways for you as not as a big name in the Nigeria's energy sector. Tell me, what are the takeaways from the Invest in Nigeria Energies Roundtable?
I think that the biggest thing is that everyone understands that there's enormous potential within Nigeria. You hear all kinds of negative stories about the country. But today I think that we have a government that understands the need to create an enabling environment for investment. And they've taken security quite seriously. The biggest problem that we have is the security risk that is associated with doing business in Nigeria, and sometimes some people say the lack of continuity and all of that. But we'll pass the PIA, which is a big game changer, and I think that the multinationals are a bit comfortable now because of the fiscal regime and all of that. And then again, is that security is being handled. Today there's a lot of contracts for pipeline security and all of that. So the majors, when they participate and they make the production, they are now rest assured that of course their production will be secure and they can make revenues from their investment. So the big takeaway is that Nigeria remains about the biggest opportunity you can find in Africa. And the potentials are enormous. Even the gas that is being flared is now being commercialized, and then we have an extensive network of terminals and all that. So, transportation and distribution and all of that, right, it's made a lot easier by the Nigerian environment. And I think that, everybody in Africa begins to understand again that, yes, rather than begin to look elsewhere as the majors are doing, that they should begin, to come back, that there are more opportunities than we've even had before now.
Interesting what this you're doing in the industry. What new things do you think the new administration should bring on board for Nigeria as far as the midstream, upstream, downstream sectors are concerned, the entire value chain that will keep Nigeria at the center of Africa's new energy frontier and renaissance?
I think that the most important thing would be to encourage indigenous participation. See, the energy sector in Nigeria, right, the landscape changed completely when the marginal field program was introduced in 1992. And today you can see a lot of participation. Otherwise, we would have been, in so much difficulty at this time that most of the multinationals, are exiting the small assets. There would have been no capacity, to take over. But because of what happened in 1992, there is that capacity. And a lot of indigenous players are feeling that, that the attention is being given to the multinationals rather than, to Nigerians. So I think that this is a government that should look a lot more inwards, try to see how they can encourage the Nigerians who are in this, in the industry to even do a lot more, give them a few more assets, to manage. And then, the big players will see that, look, there's enough going on there, and then we need to go there and participate. And if we're not there, the opportunity will be lost. But right now they think that, they can hold it to ransom once they say they're pulling out, and we look for them to come back, but there's no local capacity. So I think that this government should create that local capacity that will fill the gap.
What would Platform Petroleum, your organization, be doing? Are you bidding, looking for investments? What further areas will you be playing in Nigeria's oil and gas industry?
Well, we're trying to operate, in the entire, value chain, the upstream, the midstream, and of course the downstream. So we're encouraging, others to do as we're doing. Today, by the special grace of God and the commitment of our staff, we've been able to commercialize, all our gas. We're the only indigenous company that doesn't flare gas at all, And so, rather than pay a penalty for gas flaring, we're actually, making revenues from the gas. So there are a lot of potentials that people must understand that are available. And Platform understand that the industry, is huge, and we want to continue to play in the industry, but we need to be encouraged. I will tell you, the last marginal field bid round, Platform wasn't given, an asset at all, as big as Platform. So what we've done, right, is to invest in other companies that were giving, assets. So we're bringing the finance and the expertise, to encourage this participation. Because if we don't make that critical intervention, most of those that got those assets will probably not be able to fund the assets to bring those assets to production. So Platform, right, as an indigenous player, but a senior, a citizen in that field, is encouraging, a lot of the new entrants, So the Nigerian government would need to pat Platform on the back and encourage us to do a lot more.
Give me your thoughts finally on fuel subsidy removal, the way forward for local refining capacity in Nigeria through the NNPC, the private sector like the Dangote refinery, and those who have other refining capacity in diesel. So what would you like to see moving forward, Lulu-Briggs?
Well, the fuel subsidy removal rights had to happen at some point. If it didn't happen, the way it did, it was something that was bound, to happen. It's not something that we can manage, through, the entire haul. And what we must do at this point in time is not to have any kind of somersault. Encourage this government to be hands-on in ensuring that our refineries work, to be hands-on in ensuring that the Dangote refinery comes on stream. And once we have those refineries functional, then of course the cost of of diesel, the cost of fuel, and all of that, would also be reduced. And at that point, Nigerians will begin to understand that just as it happened in the telecom sector, it wasn't easy when it started. It looked at people complain and all that, but today, there's stability. So you take a policy and you insist in its implementation, and see it through. There'll be a lot of pain, in the beginning, but of course, that's left for the government to see how they can, assuage, the feelings of Nigerians, and then see how they can offer palliatives here and there. But it's a policy that I think that has come to stay, and it's a policy that they shouldn't try, to run away from. It's a must that's happened.
Lulu-Briggs, Chairman, Platform Petroleum, thank you so much. It's nice speaking with you here at the African Energy Week in South Africa.
Thank you.